Time for Spotlight on Business with Bob Burns.
All right, we're back. We're with Michelle Douglas and Kimberly Schurig, and we're going to talk about some lawsuits. But first thing we want to talk about is that there is a big fire in Cape May County at Shun Pipe and Cold Springs Road in Cape May. You should try to avoid the area. There's fire crews in the vicinity of, again, Shun Pipe and Cold Springs Road in West Cape May, and just be careful. Michelle, tell us about yourself.
Hi, Bob. I'm a lawyer, and I practice in Northfield with the law firm of Douglas Kinnery, and we do nothing but employment law, employment and civil rights law.
That's got to be a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. We get a lot of juicy cases.
I bet. I spent 5 years as Tom Vesper's investigator.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
okay.
we did PI stuff. I was the intake guy too.
Well, we do better work.
Better work, more fun.
Sorry, Tom.
How many car accidents can you see, right?
That's right.
Well, we always had some cool cases too, but they just kind of rise to the surface. So tell us, well, Kimberly, it's nice to have you here too. You've been here before with your friend Scott.
I have been here before. It's nice to be here again and see you.
You're supposed to bring food when you come here, though.
Yeah. You have me confused with Scott.
Okay. And you are paralegal?
And I am actually Michelle's marketing manager, and I do case client investigation. So basically what you do, exactly.
That's cool. Yeah, that's always a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah, you never know what you're going to find.
That is true.
I'll tell you off the air. They used to call me something special at the law firm, but I'll tell you off the air.
We heard you were a good digger.
I did that too. So you're talking. You said you specialize in
employment and civil rights law.
Employment and civil rights law. Okay.
We represent mostly employees.
Mostly employees.
So we're typically in the David and Goliath scenario. We're the David, but we've fought quite a few good battles, have quite a few good success records, and we're involved in a pretty big battle currently with Lower Township Municipal Utilities Authority.
Yeah, I've seen that in the news.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Pretty interesting. We're going to show up tonight at the board council meeting. Lower Township is the governing entity that appoints the Lower Township Municipal Utility Authority board members.
Okay.
And for those of our listeners who don't know, the Cape May County Prosecutor's Office started a criminal investigation over some alleged criminal conduct involving the executive director of the Municipal Utilities Authority, as well as some board members. And our firm, Douglas Kinnery, represents 5 employees of the Municipal Utilities Authority right now who have been targeted, unfortunately, all long-term employees who have been targeted by the board for their whistleblowing activity because they just participated in the criminal investigation by the prosecutor's office. They didn't initiate it.
Right.
They were asked by the prosecutor's office to provide information and testimony, and now their world's been turned upside down.
Well, we just saw that big case in Atlantic City that the police chief ended up with,
How about that?
Whatever the number is, between $2 and $4 million.
Yeah.
Because he did some whistleblowing.
Yeah, they're dangerous cases to try. I mean, and what's more is that you would think that, especially government entities, would recognize that these cases have the potential for punitive damages, but not only that, but for fee shifting. That is, if the plaintiffs are successful as prevailing parties, they win the case,
right,
then the defense is required not only to pay their attorney's fees and costs, but the plaintiff's attorney's fees and costs.
Okay.
But for some reason, that just doesn't seem to be enough incentive for these officials, sort of like other people's money. It's like they're not accountable for their actions. I mean, either that or they just cannot help themselves in their retaliatory motivations.
I know what the process is in a PI case, and I'm curious what the process is in your case. When you begin to investigate, Kim, when you begin to investigate one of these cases, what kind of parameters have to be met? You do this on a contingency basis, right?
We do.
Okay, so you're hung out to dry. So you're obviously not going to take the frivolous case.
Right.
So you have to go through some sort of process to decide. First of all, let me ask you, how long have you been doing this?
26 years.
So you got an idea about how it works.
I do. I should by now.
You should by now. And What possessed you to specialize in these areas?
Well, which question first? What possessed me to get involved in employment and civil rights litigation was that I guess I'm somewhat of an idealist. In law school, they were that's the kind or the body of law that I was interested in. And after I graduated from law school, there weren't a whole heck of a lot of attorneys practicing in this area. So I thought it would be a nice little niche to create, and we have, thank goodness, and have done so successfully. But you're talking about a screening process,
right?
Because we represent a lot of victims of discrimination,
right?
But ironically, I have to be somewhat discriminatory when I agreed to accept some of these cases.
Right.
Many people are treated unfairly in the workplace, period. But does that necessarily mean that they have a legal cause of action? No. So it's our job, and we have a staff who takes the client intake information, tries to get really to the heart, to the beef of the matter.
Right.
And we try to figure out whether or not the employer has violated a law in their unfair treatment of the employee. And if so, then we'll accept the case. Okay.
The whistleblower aspect of this, it's another little category inside of this employment law, right?
It is. The Whistleblower Act in New Jersey is called the New Jersey Conscientious Employee Protection Act, SEPA. And in order for an employee to have a claim under the Whistleblower Act, they have to meet certain elements of the law.
Okay.
First of all and foremost, they have to be an employee,
right,
which you think may not be such a big deal, but in some instances it is, because maybe the individual is actually a independent contractor.
Okay.
Little things like that, but the big elements are they've got to be an employee. They had to have participated in protected activity, and that's where the New Jersey Supreme Court has really kind of put its thumb down recently in becoming more strict in its analysis of what protected activity is. And protected activity, the short definition is protected activity is anything that the employee does by way of threatening to expose, actually exposing, disclosing, reporting, speaking to a government entity about illegal conduct or unethical conduct by the supervisor or by the employer. That's generally considered to be protected activity.
Okay.
And then there has to have been an adverse employment action taken by the employer against the employee because that employee engaged in protected activity.
Okay. So there's a definite process that it has to meet certain elements to even be considered as a possible case.
Yes, yes.
And then, of course, the dollar amount makes a big difference too, right?
Well, sure. That gets into an adverse employment action.
Right.
Because I didn't get invited to the boss's birthday party,
yeah,
doesn't necessarily qualify as an adverse employment action. But if I'm fired from my job, or in this case with the Lower Township Municipal Utilities Authority individuals, 2 of whom have lost their jobs after many years on the job without a problem.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And or my overtime is now being cut where before it wasn't, and it's not because of budgetary reasons.
Okay.
They're things, they're elements that truly constitute adverse employment action.
Okay.
Most of us are employed most of our waking hours. and we want to do so free from retaliation or free from the threat of losing our job for what? For doing the right thing. And in this case, the Lower Township Municipal Utilities Authority employees did nothing but the right thing. They were asked. I mean, when you're asked by the Cape May County Prosecutor's Office to participate in a criminal investigation, it's not like you really have the option to say, no thanks.
Yeah, there's not a lot of options.
Right. Yeah. So they were required to participate and disclosed what they knew. And yet their immediate supervisor, the executive director of the Municipal Utilities Authority, issues a directive, unbelievably, issues a directive, and we have it, that stated that if any of the employees contacted or talked to the Cape May County Prosecutor's Office, they were to immediately report to him, the executive director.
Really?
Now, that's completely contrary to what the Cape May County Prosecutor's Office and the detectives would hope to achieve. That is confidentiality in their investigation process. So that's just the start. That's just the beginning.
Are you at liberty to talk about what they were contacted about?
Well, I can say this. I can say that they were contacted about allegations regarding various contracts that were engaged in by the board and outside vendors over a course of a number of years. And I probably don't want to say too much more because I, too, don't want to jeopardize an ongoing criminal investigation.
Okay. All right. So it was a legitimate investigation that it was not perpetrated from people within the organization.
Correct.
All right. So the prosecutor comes to you, I want to know about this, and they answer the questions, and then all of a sudden they're raked over the coals.
You got it.
Yeah. I saw the coverage on TV a couple of weeks ago, whatever it was, and it looked kind of brutal.
Well, you know, I can tell you this. I attended. I was called in at the last minute. The last board meeting that I'm talking about, the Municipal Utilities Authority board meeting, not to be confused with the Lower Township Council board meeting. But I was called in at the last board meeting about 8 o'clock in the morning from one of the now clients to help him save his job.
Right.
And so I attended that board meeting that night. And I do so because, quite frankly, some of the times your clients aren't always honest. So I have to make
I'm shocked.
I know
I'm
you would
stunned.
be. So I needed to make an assessment.
Right.
And oftentimes the only way that you can make an assessment is if you see a person, you know, face to face, or you can hear their voice or judge their demeanor. Well, I went to see the Municipal Utilities Authority executive director, and geez, he seemed pretty cool, seemed pretty rational, seemed like a pretty good guy.
Right.
We had that on tape. Yet, I also have another tape that I listened to later from my client, from another one of my clients, where this same executive director sounds like an irrational, crazy, not together
Oh my gosh,
person
that doesn't sound good.
who assaulted, admits to it
You can't beat him.
on the record, on the tape, my client. For what? On the tape, he says that he assaulted my client because he participated in the criminal prosecution.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, you know, what I saw in public, the public show demonstration, was completely different than what I listened to on tape from the executive director. And that's what made me become committed to representing these individuals. I knew then that what they were telling me was, in fact, the truth.
So the first time you were involved in this case was a little over a month ago.
Yes. Yes.
8 o'clock in the morning phone call.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Can you be at the meeting tonight at 8 o'clock, right?
You got it. You got it.
So
at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. And then
and not even a free lunch, right?
no, free, not even a cup of coffee.
You got to hang around with Scott. Yeah.
But it was eye-opening. You know, the executive director denied that he had issued pink slips, that he had threatened to issue pink slips for all of the laborers come January. And the reason that the board meeting was so packed was because there were a number of people there with vested interests, the laborers. They wanted to know, is this what's going on? Are we really going to be outsourced? And the executive director denied that. Yet on the